Now a Coin 6 investigation follow-up. Remember these two daycare workers? We caught them smoking out of a bong while watching children. Well, we've learned both these women have now been permanently banned from working in childcare. Our investigative reporter Carla Castano broke the story after staking out their Salem daycare.
And Carla has since continued to get answers. She's discovered the state has found they committed fraud. And Carla, there's even more.
Several new developments tonight. These documents reveal allegations of disturbing punishments, as well as accusations from parents their children were not fed at the daycare. We've also uncovered new information raising even more questions about whether the current state regulations and the screening process for child care provider goes far enough to keep kids safe.
With the radio blaring, they take hit after hit from this huge bong.
We're not your typical childcare.
Almost a year to the day since we first introduced you to the two daycare workers caught smoking out of a bong on the job. Several state investigations have wrapped up.
Once we were able to see the video that Coin 6 collected, we had the evidence that we needed to substantiate the complaints, to suspend and ultimately to revoke this child care provider's license.
It's taken several requests, but nearly a year later, we've gotten our hands on these DHS investigation reports. They outline a history of complaints and investigations that didn't get very far by both the Early Learning Division and DHS.
While much has been blacked out, these documents reveal Charity Araujo and her daughter Mariah Yeager of Alphabet Academy Learning Center in Salem were found to be out of compliance for, quote, many reasons, including overbilling, falsified records, violations of health and safety rules. The DHS investigator concludes the history of this daycare, Alphabet Academy Learning Center, aka ABC Academy, shows they will continue to rotate family members as the maid provider to get licenses approved, to make themselves eligible for each and every agency involved, showing an egregious willingness to falsify documents, falsify records, and continue the false statements to these agencies in order to get what they want.
I think there had to be a paper trail before anyone could take any action.
And I talked with several neighbors who tell me they had called in their concerns to state agencies.
Mostly the late night partying and going on until, midnight or after. I mean, that's curious when it's a 24-hour daycare.
The investigator also determined they party, not just use the medical marijuana for pain relief, and that they were attempting to smoke to get high.
Were you ever concerned for the children at the daycare?
Yeah, definitely.
We wanted to talk to Charity Araujo and Mariah Yeager, but now all their public records are listed to a personal mailbox rental service in Salem. I was able to find their cell phone numbers.
I'm really trying to get your side of the story.
We also went to family and friends' homes. I called a number for Mariah Yeager.
There's some allegations against you.
When I asked for a comment, the response was only, no thank you. I asked about claims by a former daycare employee that Mariah would punish kids for crying by putting hot sauce in their mouths, then laughing if they cried more.
Mariah?
But it was unclear if she stayed on the line. While DHS will not release the results of the Child Protective Services investigations, we have confirmed neither Yeager or Araujo have been charged with child abuse or neglect. Still, some parents claimed their children were sent home hungry despite the USDA federal and state funding the daycare was getting. And parents also told investigators they would pay their copay with their EBT benefits or food stamps. I checked with DHS, and that is a clear violation. Investigators also say they were able to prove the women were overbilling DHS, but I've learned the state is not pursuing criminal charges on the $75,000 in fraud they found.
We've taken an administrative action, which was the most effective and cost-efficient way.
Parents told investigators the subsidized daycare would add hours, billing for when they didn't have the children, and falsifying forms with whiteout. One mother also said Charity intimidated her into signing for falsified hours, or else the mom would have her benefits closed down for non-payment. Adding Araujo always sends copies of attendance records, and they can't see the whiteout.
There was clearly false falsification, mainly in the area of number of hours reported as having watched the children that were in care.
Both state agencies made across-the-board changes to prohibit medical and recreational marijuana use in Oregon daycares to fall in line with tobacco and alcohol rules. Still, this DHS investigators report mentions one daycare parent taking their child to their family doctor to be tested for marijuana exposure, and it confirms the report of a positive testing.
You mentioned that daycare providers have to go through a background check. Do they go through a drug screening process?
No, they don't go through a drug screening process.
Is that something that is a concern after looking at a case like this?
It is a concern, but I think we would want to talk with OCC about that before responding.
I checked, and OCC does not have plans to add drug testing to its child care screening process. But both women are now flagged for life as disqualified in the state's background registry system. Now, here's what I found as far as all the money owed to the state for the fraud. Neither have paid a penny or responded to set up payment plans. Still, the Department of Revenue can garnish their wages, withhold tax returns, and even hire a collection agency to get the $75,000 back. Live in the studio, Carla Castano, KOIN 6 News.
Carla, thank you for that follow-up, and we're going to continue to look into this investigation. If you have a story we should investigate, call our tip line 503-464-0861 or send us an email to report it at KOIN.com.